So before we even really get into this video, I want to say that I'm a big fan of Young Chop. I think he's one of the best producers out in the game right now, and I think he really did help pioneer a sound. But if you guys have been watching for the past few weeks on the internet, you will see that Young Chop is having somewhat of a breakdown on Instagram, and it's just been getting progressively worse and worse, and I think this is going to end really badly unless someone is able to step in soon and do something to help this man, because it is not looking good. So one of the first things we need to answer is, who exactly is Young Chop? Young Chop, if you don't know, is a producer and one of the pioneers of the drill rap sound, along with people like Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and Fredo Santana. Some of the biggest songs he produced were I Don't Like, Love Sosa, Kobe, and most of those early drill songs that you heard coming out of Chicago that really put them on the map. And a lot of these songs were released around like 2011 to 2012, and Young Chop really hasn't had that same type of buzz since this time. So Young Chop is mostly known as a producer, but over the course of his career he's been releasing solo albums where he would rap and produce on these, and he's been getting slowly more and more of a fan base. But it seems like now in 2020 he is sick of being mostly known as a producer, and he's starting to push his rap music more and more, and it seems like this is really where a lot of the issues began to start for Young Chop, was with him trying to push his rap music. So it seems like Chop's main method to push his music was going to be to take more of like a 6ix9ine approach, where he just starts to beef with everyone. So despite being from Chicago, it didn't really seem like Chop was really beefing with too many people when he was still in the city, but we have lately just seen him calling out a ton of people on his Instagram lives. He was calling out people like French Montana, 21 Savage, and Meek Mill. He was calling them all scary and saying that they wouldn't pull up on him, etc, etc. You get the gist. These actions got a lot of people though wondering, what is Chop doing? Because this seemed like it was just out of nowhere, and it got a lot of people questioning if Chop is okay. So French Montana responded with tweets saying, "It's sad to see this fake ass. Young Chop needs to be in a mental institution. It's only a matter of time before someone takes his life. Then all you're gonna see is hashtag RIP and a bunch of fake. If somebody cares about that man, go and grab him and take him somewhere." And personally, I feel this was probably the best way to respond to this. This was really erratic behavior on the part of Chop, and it seems like it just came out of nowhere, and he could either be going through some type of breakdown, or it could be just a contribution to like drug use. And I'm not saying for sure that either of these are correct, and I don't really want to speculate anymore, but I do personally agree with French Montana that Chop does need some kind of intervention in his life, because he just keeps escalating situations further and further when they really don't need to be escalated in the first place. So Meek Mill also responded to him, and he said, "It's obvious Chop is having some mental issues. Y'all be gassing stuff up so much, y'all just gotta ignore it. I've been getting beats from him for years, and I hope he gets well." And once again, I think this is a great response from Meek, and I think it really shows the maturity we've seen from Meek throughout his career. And now it just seems like Meek is above beefing, because if this was earlier in his career and someone was sending shots at Meek like this, especially someone he knew like Young Chop, I could definitely see him coming back. But I think this was probably the right way to handle the situation, and 21 didn't handle the situation in the best possible way. It didn't take him long to respond to Chop's diss though. He went on his Instagram story, and 21 shared a Chop diss song along with a crying laughing emoji, and then he went to show off his watch collection just so he could flex on Chop some more. And then he also shared a picture of Chop along with the caption, "Make sure you'll go get his tape when it drop, because that man needs clout, and pray for him because he done lost his mind." So I don't really agree with the response from 21 Savage here. I feel like he could have went about this a bit better, because it does really seem like Chop is going through a lot here, and as we all know in the music industry, it can be a tough place, especially for one's mental health. But to be fair, Chop did start all of this himself, and he is a grown man, so he kind of did have this coming somewhat. But this got even more escalated because recently Chop pulled up on 21 Savage's old hood on Instagram Live looking for him, and then he proceeded to get out of his Uber, and they ended up sending some shots at his Uber and actually ended up breaking the window. Chop ended up being fine, but it seems like the message was clearly sent, and it didn't really matter though, because as soon as it happened, Chop kind of just went back on Instagram Live and was just mocking the people who just shot at him, and was mocking 21 Savage even more. So another day or two after this incident, we would see Young Chop get into another incident where we would see a car sitting outside of his house, and after the whole thing with 21 Savage, Young Chop was a little bit worried obviously. He goes and pulls out his pistol and he fires a shot at the car car, causing it to speed off into the night. Funny enough, earlier in the day, he actually ended up leaking his address on his Instagram Live, so it could have possibly been even fans who showed up and are potentially being shot at by Young Chop now. So as we've seen within the span of only a few weeks, this has escalated from simple Instagram Live talk to real life street beef where people are actually getting shot at, all really over nothing. So the question everyone's asking right now is probably, why is Young Chop doing this? So I think it's a combination of Chop slowly fading in the industry as he pioneered a sound that isn't really that popular anymore, and he's also just trying to follow in the 6ix9ine footsteps of starting beef with everyone as a way to drum up hype for your music. Also, I think Chop is having a lot of personal issues, and I think this is really having an effect on his mental state, and I think that's why it's causing him to lash out on all these people, because if you've seen Young Chop before this, he wasn't anything like this. So if you want a bit more insight onto why Young Chop could potentially be doing this, I recommend you watch the DJ Small Eyes interview with him. He goes into it a little bit about how his mother and his uncle kind of passed away within the same time frame, and that really messed him up. He actually started to end up doing drugs that he was never really doing, and it just had a real hurt on his mind state. And I think that could really explain a lot of the things we're seeing with Young Chop, a lot of this erratic behavior, a lot of this beefing. He said he hit rock bottom, and he said he was depressed. DJ Small Eyes asked him if he was ever suicidal. Young Chop ended up saying no, but based on his actions recently, it doesn't seem like while he might be trying to do it, it seems like he's trying to get someone to take him out. And I don't know if this is the cause, but based on everything he said and based on his actions, it seems like this could be the reason why. Another potential reason I think for this happening too is we all know producers don't really have the benefit of being able to tour like artists. So while Chief Keef can still perform his hits from 2012 and get paid, Young Chop isn't really making that much money off of these songs from 2012. It's been 8 years now since it's come up, and while I don't think Chop is broke, it definitely seems like he's at a point in his career where I guess you could say he's having to face the fact that rap music moves very quickly, and that drill sound that he created in 2012 might not necessarily pay the bills in 2020. So Young Chop seemed like a really humble guy before all these beefs, but he just continues to put himself in bad situation after bad situation. And I think the best thing for everyone to do right now would just be to ignore Chop, whether you be a fan or someone really covering this stuff. I see DJ Academics constantly post videos about Chop, and I think it just adds fuel onto the fire. I think he's going to continue to do these things if he just gets clout off of them, because he's having a breakdown and he seems kind of like a clout chaser right now, as much as it pains me to say it. And ultimately the decision is Chop's if he's going to decide to stop this or not. We really don't have any control. He's a grown man. But what I hate to see is a bunch of people egging this stuff on, and then they turn around and say something like hashtag RIP Chop on Twitter when the man does end up going too far and he does end up dying. So in these past few years, I feel like we've needlessly had so many losses in the rap community, and right now it seems like Young Chop is on that teetering point. He's only 26 years old, and he could be going down a similar path to a lot of these people who lost their life, and it's just really sad to see, to be honest. And I think someone really needed to talk about it and break this whole thing down instead of just continually adding fuel onto the fire. I think we need to take a look at what's really happening here, and if you are a fan of Young Chop, I really recommend you don't support the kind of stuff that he's doing right now, because it really can only end one way. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of Young Chop down in the comments down below. Are you guys a fan of Chop? What do you think of all the recent beefs that he's been in? Do you think somebody needs to step in and do something? Let me know down in the comments down below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. And if you're new, how about you subscribe? But thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you in the next one.